Hey guys, yes, here's the one we've been waiting for. NBA Jam. If you haven't heard of NBA Jam, you probably haven't heard of many other things and should probably review your life, especially if you're into any kind of sport games. NBA Jam is a kind of game that you don't even need to really appreciate basketball to enjoy it. It's when it came out, it was just such a step above a lot of the arcade games we had at the time, and I think that people really, became associated with the NBA through this kind of thing. I certainly will never forget the first time walking into a bowling alley and seeing the new NBA Jam machine. Sort of up there with, I guess, the Mortal Kombat arcade machine and possibly virtual racing back then, a little bit before Daytona, but yeah, just a long way ahead of everything else. It probably didn't help that I was also pretty basketball crazy at the time, but yeah, the graphics, the sounds, the speed of the gameplay, the controls, everything. Even nowadays, you can spend hours playing the game. If you've got a friend, sit there and play it with them on a home console. And I'm just going to go and I'll show a couple of interesting things, look at some of the package design, and show some footage of some of the various iterations of the first NBA Jam titles. The quality is pretty good for most of the non-arcade titles, but there is, a huge market for this kind of endorsed product, and they really tried their hardest to get them onto some of the systems that really possibly weren't up to the challenge, but probably even still at the time would have possibly been an exciting game to play, even though it possibly isn't anywhere near the quality of the arcade machine. So I'm just going to show a couple of things. So we have the cabinet here, the NBA Jam machine, 4 players, and I think in Australia it was about $2 to play, which is quite expensive. It was a premium game to play. I think Mortal Kombat would have been on the same price point. You could go in and play the Wonder Boy or something for 20 cents a game at the time, and possibly something a little bit higher would be maybe 40 cents, and then you might have a racing game for $1. And then I remember NBA Jam being $2 a game, and how that was quite a large amount of money. When we were younger, we did spend a lot of time just watching others play it, mainly because we just couldn't afford it. I think our pocket money for the week was about $5, and for that we would mow lawns, wash dishes every night. We were already doing chores around the house, so $2 was a big investment, and the game can be over pretty quickly as well. Obviously, it's not like some games where you get knocked out. You can play. I think you paid per quarter from memory. So I think from memory it was $2 for a quarter, and just by today's standards, it's hard to believe that. We spent so much money playing those games, but it was just because they were so far ahead of the home consoles, I guess. So it's still a great looking machine and really grabs your attention. I'm just going to have a look at the packaging, just so the screen is centered. Just going to move it a little bit. So this is obviously the Sega Genesis version. Again, the Sega Genesis was for American audiences, and so the back of the cover wasn't needing multiple languages and everything, so they could fill the whole space with advertising material. So we've got the logo in the top left, and a few screenshots. Pretty I don't know whether it's the scanning, that the picture on the right of the ball looks pretty close to how it looked. But the pictures on the left or on the back cover seemed very washed out compared to the actual Genesis version. So we've got some of the quotes there, and then we've got the Ultimate Arcade Jam comes home. You control the super moves, amazing blocks, and awesome slam dunks in the NBA's hottest stars, skywalking slams, cannonball, tomahawk, helicopter, and more. Turbo boost for lightning fast steals and intense rejections. 4-player adaptable for true arcade competition. Auto stat saves your records and stats as you drive to the championship. NBA Jam puts you on the court and above the rim. And then it's got the 27 teams, 54 players. And notably Michael Jordan wasn't in this version of the game, and then there was obviously special characters, special players, and all kinds of crazy iterations. Big head mode, and I think there's a cheat you could end up dunking from the free 3-point line or something like that, and it was just incredible the things you could do. You could play as a Velociraptor and a Triceratops and then the producers, I think the highest ranking player in the game was one of the actual designers of the game. He put himself in there, and just a real riot. It's an absolute fun game to play, and 1 to 4 players. So with this, I can't remember what it's called, the arcade. Like obviously the Genesis and Mega Drive had 2 control ports, but if you had the special extra adapter, you could add 4 players to this game, and as far as I know, that was I could be wrong, but that was the only game I can think of that you could play 4 players. Surely there was more, but yeah, it's just guaranteed to be a great time. And even nowadays, I played the more modern Xbox 360 version of NBA Jam with some friends a while back, all sitting on the couch having a few beers, playing NBA Jam, 4-player. It was just the best time, and we just could not stop laughing while we were playing. And I think that's actually the true way to play NBA Jam is with friends, and just to enjoy the whole experience of the game. So I've got another bit of trivia here as well. It's worth looking at that some people may have seen, but the actual the ball on the front cover was actually a real ball that was created for the purpose of photographing. So I think it's actually a resin. It's a resin ball. By the size of the mouse on the side there, that's a little mouse like the one I actually have sitting here. It's a Logitech mouse. It looks like it's possibly not a full-size basketball, but this went for auction quite recently. I think it was quite a lot of money. I'll just have a quick look. Yeah, so it went up for auction in November last year, winning bids from the auction. So there were 2 balls that were auctioned off. The NBA Jam ball. This is US dollars, $5,700 US, and the tournament edition ball, which was similar, but it was I believe it was full silver. So it was basically this resin molded ball that was silver. For $2,200. So obviously it wasn't as popular. That's pretty much the case for most things. The first one's always the best and the most popular. But imagine having that sitting on your shelf at home or something. And no, it's not a real basketball. It's just a resin model. But back in the day, before a lot of digital rendering, 3D rendering things, this is the way things were done, and it's very much grabs your attention and served its purpose, and must have just been stored away, and someone found it and decided to sell it off. I'm not sure where the money went, whether it may have gone to some cause or something, but yeah, what a fantastic relic to find. And to put a bid on it, $5,700. It's a lot of money, but I can't imagine such a classic artifact losing value anytime soon. So I'm going to have a look at some of the different iterations of the game, and just maybe a little bit of commentary. I probably won't talk too much while playing. I'm just going to show some footage, just to drink in the sounds and the atmosphere of the game, and just look at how they vary a little bit. Okay, so this is where it all happened from my own NBA Jam experience. This is on the Sega Mega Drive. This is the Genesis version, and for those who aren't aware, the Genesis ran at 60 hertz, and the PAL version ran at 50 hertz, which just changed the frame rate a little bit, but the game's pretty much the same. And yeah, we'll just have a quick look at the splash screen and all that, and then we'll go to the front screen, and you can see it's very similar to the front cover, and we'll just go straight to the player screen. So we've got all the rosters and things, and you'll see there's the speed, 3-pointers, dunks, and defense. So it's all about the highlight, popcorn plays. It's all about the dunks. It's all about the 3-pointers, and very much almost a modern day NBA sort of style of game. So I'll just go through and have a bit of a look. So we've got some of the graphics are a little bit washed out. Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, most of the time using modified photos. Apparently, one of the graphic artists that worked on Mortal Kombat, which used animated green screen photographs, basically kind of like stop motion animation, worked for NBA Jam as well. And I think you can see that, especially when the game starts. So yeah, Chris Mullin, Tim Hardaway, Danny Manning and Derek Harper, James Worthy, Vlade Divac, Charles Barkley, Kevin Johnson, Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter, Kemp and Shrimp. I can't remember Tisdale. Sorry, someone's going to have a go at me about that. Mitch Richmond. Some of the teams were in the dark times. You can sort of see which teams would have been top of the ladder and which wouldn't have been. Karl Malone, John Stockton, David Robinson and Sean Elliott, Christian Laettner and Chuck Person, Vernon Maxwell and Hakeem, Dikembe Mutombo and LaFonso Ellis, Jim Jackson and Derek Harper, Dominic Wilkins and Stacey Augmon. Just having trouble reading some of these. I'm having a look at the pictures. Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning, Scotty and Horace Grant, Brad Doherty and Mark Price, Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer. He was fantastic. I don't know why his defense isn't maxed out. Derek McKee and Reggie Miller. Geez, I can't read the one on the left. Sorry. I don't know either of these guys. Wow, my brain's just gone blank. That's Horace Grant's brother, Tom Gugliotta, or whatever his name is. Reese, what's his name? Witherspoon and Jeff Hornacek. Gee, my brain has forgotten some of these players. Scott Skiles and Nick Anderson, Patrick Ewing and John Starks. Someone Anderson and Derek Coleman, Harold Miner and Ronnie Cycli, and D Brown and Robert Parrish. Thinking back, looking at this game, it was all about the all-star players. Like I was obviously a huge Seattle Sonics fan, so I just always used to pick Kemp and Shrimp, and I think Peyton was in there as well as a second player. Or I loved Charles Barkley. And, just almost ignore these teams with sort of nobody players. But like Jeff Hornacek wasn't a nobody, but he wasn't an exciting player. And nowadays I probably appreciate his game a lot more. So anyhow, let's get to the game and have a look. I'll go Witherspoon and Hornacek just for the fun of it against the Mailman and Stock. So the game runs really smooth, and the frame rate was always a really impressive thing about this game. On the Genesis and the Mega Drive, it was always a fair step down from an arcade machine, but it really did translate from the arcade. I played it on the arcade before, not much, but I had played it, and I knew that there was a step down from the arcade, but the power of those arcade machines was well beyond a Sega Mega Drive or a Genesis or a SNES or anything at the time. So, you know, having this, popping this cartridge in and having this level at home and the digital voices and the fluid animation, the gameplay, it was just fantastic, and still doesn't get old. The remade version on the 360, and I'm probably on, I think it was on the Wii U or the Wii as well, and maybe PS3. But the remade arcade version was the first time I think that they just went, oh, let's just make it like the old one, but with more fluid animation and 3D rendering and things like that. A lot of the other later ones were 3D. I hadn't really played many of those, so I'm not sure what they're like. I feel like I'm kind of like that with a lot of the old games. It's just, why play the new one? It's just, you know, the experience you have with the old one is actually what is attractive about it. I'm like that with a lot of the older games, Sega, like Sonic and Mortal Kombat and all those. I just go and play the originals. I don't really, worry about the you know, the remakes and stuff. But maybe I'm just so nostalgic that you know, sort of hinders my ability to judge things. But that's the way I am. I love the old graphics, and I love the you know, just everything about these old games. So I'm going to have a look at the one of the portable, the Sega Portable version, which was the Sega Game Gear, and then I'm going to try to have a look at the arcade version if I can get it working properly. So just give me a second. Okay, so this is on the Sega Game Gear. Came out about the same time by the looks of it, 1993, as the Genesis, and I think the arcade as well. It was all sort of one of those all-inclusive kind of releases where they, you know, kind of use that, I guess the advertising power of the new franchise to, you know, have people rushing to the store to buy their copy. Yeah, so obviously this is on an emulator, and this is, you know, imagine you're holding the Game Gear in your hand and playing like you're in the arcade. I'll just see if I can get to the front screen. Okay, so it looks fantastic. The game itself is, you know, the colours are fantastic. Obviously, lower resolution. The you know, shows up pretty much in the pretty obviously in the NBA logo down the bottom corner. Yeah, we'll see how the game looks. It was a very big step for this game to even be on the home console at all. And yes, you can see the game itself is not looking promising. I had a quick look at it before. The photos look fantastic. You know, this is a lot clearer than what the little Game Gear screen used to look like. It was a tiny little screen, but bigger than the Game Boy, and it was in colour and backlit, chewed up batteries like nobody's business. The rosters look the same, pretty much. Yeah, you can tell who the players are when you look at them. You know, it's not perfect, but it's massive, massive for the Game Gear. All right, and yes, so you can see where the Game Gear's at its limit here. The frame rate's quite low when playing compared to what I just played. The colours are very limited. The animations are still there. That round the back pass was very common, but yeah, just you can see everything runs so slow. The sounds are really chirpy, and you know, there's no digitized voices to be heard. So you know, that's a shame, because it takes out, like, obviously that's not possible for these old systems. Whoa, I nearly sunk a 3 from 3/4 court. Yeah, it really is it. This is the limit. This is beyond the limit of what the Game Gear was capable of. Oh, there we go. There's a nice dunk. So the animations look similar. They're quite smooth. They're just slow. That's probably the biggest thing. Being a 2-button controller, you would not have a turbo button, so that's another thing. Obviously, turbo was the way to go with NBA Jam. You'd hit the middle button or the silver button on the joystick, and your shoes would change colour, and all of a sudden you'd get a bit of a boost, and you could do the bigger dunks and things. And I'm not sure what the On Fire looks like. You can see just running down the court what kind of what kind of graphics we've got going on here. It's, it feels like it's running at about 25 frames per second or something. I can't remember the exact frames per second with the Game Gear, but I just goaltended without any issue there. But yeah, so they tried, and it's still fun to play. I'm actually quite enjoying the flow of the game, and I think it's just it's such a winning formula playing a 2 versus 2 in this speed. NBA Jam, you can feel the similarities there, and if you didn't have a Genesis and you had you wanted NBA Jam on the road, this is what you had. Obviously the Sega Nomad, the portable Genesis, would be another great way to go, and I actually have one of those, and I've played NBA Jam on my Sega Nomad, and it works beautifully, and plays exactly like the actual Genesis version. So now we're going to have a look at the arcade version and see where it all really was. I guess where the console versions were based on, what they were working on, and it's the flagship version of the game, and also the most expensive to play and not in the home. So these were sort of a truncated experience that were based on the arcade. Okay, so here we are. I'm just having a bit of a look at the game now. Here's the select screen, so you can see in every way it's better, higher resolution. We've got quite realistic, although pixelated. We've got realistic photographs. You can see who they are. There's a few differences in the rosters by the looks of it, and but yeah, just fantastic, high quality photographs, and yeah, I'll go my faves, Kemp and Payton here versus the Celtics, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. I remember it being quite difficult in the arcade as well. Obviously it was an arcade machine, so they're trying to get rid of your money as quick as possible without you giving up. I've done something wrong. I know, I'm right. Okay, so you can see my blue shoes there. I'm in turbo mode there. Yeah, the frame rate's just silky smooth, probably full 60 frames per second going on here, and yeah, it just looks brilliant. You can see also as you get closer to the screen, the player gets bigger, so you got that scaling going on there as well, which was pretty big back in the day before 3D animation and all that sort of stuff. Let's see if I can get Kemp up in the air and doing a dunk. So everything about this it's just so nostalgic. There we go. So all the catchphrases and everything, yeah, it's all just really, it's one of the best basketball games ever made. So there we go. Another one. So Kemp was one of the top dunkers in the NBA, and obviously that translated into NBA Jam. Nice pass to Kemp. Oh yeah, that's right, Payton. I don't think his rating wasn't very high in the dunking. Oh, just airball to sitter. So I imagine anyone who had this game in their arcades would have made an absolute fortune when this came out. 93. Yeah, the NBA was really starting to show up then in pop culture, and Michael Jordan's in his heyday, and players like Kempton, Barkley, and Ewing, Olajuwon, all those guys were just so all over the place, all over the media, and we had Saturday basketball and top 10 plays of the week and all that sort of stuff. So this really complemented the whole NBA franchise. So I hope you've enjoyed my video on the classic NBA Jam. Sorry, I haven't done all of the systems. That would be a pretty big job. The SNES version was very, very good as well. Quite similar to the Genesis version. It's just color palettes and things were a little bit different, and some of the sounds were a bit different. But generally it was the same thing. And then you had your tournament edition, which I might have a quick look at down the track. But it was slightly different graphics, upgraded graphics, not upgraded, just a little bit different in some of the animations and the sounds. Some of the voiceovers were changed, and obviously the rosters. The main thing was the rosters were changed a little bit, updated. So but I could just this is one of those games you can come back to in 50 years' time and still enjoy it. For anyone who's into basketball. So I hope you enjoyed the video anyway, and I might just sit and play this for a bit longer.